While Egyptians were building the pyramids at Giza, another civilization on the opposite side of the world was constructing their own monumental pyramids. But you've never heard of them. In 1994, archaeologists in Peru uncovered something impossible: a massive city with pyramids, plazas, and amphitheaters dating to 2600 BCE. That's 5,000 years ago, older than the Egyptian pyramids, as ancient as Sumerian cities. But here's what makes Caral truly mind-blowing. This civilization developed completely independently. No contact with the old world. No knowledge of Mesopotamian cities or Egyptian monuments. They invented urban civilization from scratch. And then, after flourishing for 1,000 years, they mysteriously vanished, leaving behind monumental structures that would remain hidden for 5,000 years. By the end of this video, you'll understand how Caral rewrites the entire timeline of American civilization, why it challenges everything we thought about how cities develop, and what ultimately destroyed this ancient culture. Hit subscribe. This is the story history forgot. Before we explore Caral, we need to understand why its discovery shocked the archaeological world. The old timeline until 1994, conventional wisdom held, complex civilization in Americas began around 1200 BCE. Olmecs of Mexico, 1500 to 400 BCE, where first major civilization Andean complexity began with Chavin, 900 BCE. Permanent cities were relatively recent. Americas lagged behind Old World by thousands of years, this narrative suggested. Old World civilizations were more advanced, urban development required. Certain preconditions. Americas were behind in cultural evolution. Complex society was rare and difficult to achieve. The discovery that changed everything. 1994, Soup Valley, Peru. Peruvian archaeologist Ruth Shady investigated site, found monumental architecture in valley. Carbon dating revealed shocking ages. Caral dated to approximately 2600 BCE, 500 years older than any known American civilization. The location: Caral sits in coastal Peru. Soup River Valley, 200 kilometers north of Lima, 23 km from Pacific Coast. Desert Valley with river irrigation, 66 hectares, 163 acres, of urban development. Part of larger Norte Chico civilization, 30-plus sites. Why it stayed hidden. Caral was invisible to archaeology because no ceramics, pottery wasn't invented yet, no gold or precious metals, not valued, no monumental stone construction, used adobe/mud. Desert location preserved but also concealed. Local population didn't recognize significance. The initial skepticism when Shady announced findings. Many archaeologists were skeptical. Dates seemed impossibly early, required rewriting. American prehistory. Multiple carbon dating tests confirmed by 2001. Scholarly consensus accepted Caral's age. What makes Caral extraordinary? This wasn't a village or small settlement. Large-scale urban planning, monumental public architecture, complex social organization, trade networks spanning hundreds of miles, sophisticated engineering, all achieved 5,000 years ago. The global context. Caral was contemporary with Old Kingdom Egypt, pyramids of Giza, early dynastic Sumer, Mesopotamian cities, Indus Valley civilization, Harappa, Mohenjo-Daro, ancient China, late Neolithic, but Caral developed in complete isolation. Why this matters? Caral proves urban civilization arose independently multiple times, no single pathway to complexity. Old World didn't have monopoly on innovation. American civilizations were ancient, not recent. Human cultural achievement is universal. If discovering that the Americas had 5,000-year-old cities blows your mind, drop a like. This civilization was as sophisticated as ancient Egypt. Caral wasn't just a settlement. It was a planned urban center with monumental architecture that required thousands of workers and sophisticated engineering. The urban layout. Caral's city plan shows deliberate organization. Two main sectors. Upper sector, elite residential area, major pyramids. Lower sector, common residences, smaller structures. Clear social stratification in urban design. Orientation aligned with astronomical observations. The 6 major pyramids. Caral contains 6 large pyramid platform structures. Pyramid Mayor, main pyramid, largest structure in Caral base. Approximately 150 meters x 160 meters, 492 by 525 feet. Height, 18 meters, 60 feet. Above plaza level terrace design with summit temple central staircase leading to top platform. Required an estimated 100,000 man-days of labor. Other pyramids. Pyramide de la Galeria, Pyramide de la Huanca, Pyramide de la Cantra, Pyramide Menor, Pyramide del Anfiteatro, each with distinct design and probable function. The construction technology building methods reveal sophistication. Shikra bags. Read. Bags filled with stones used as structural fill in pyramids allowed rapid construction, provided stability in earthquake-prone region. Distinctive Caral innovation, adobe and stone. Outer walls of adobe, mud brick, stone foundations, plastered and painted surfaces, durable despite desert environment. Anti-seismic engineering. Flexible construction techniques. Read elements absorbed earthquake shock structures survived 5,000 years in seismic zone. Shows advanced engineering knowledge. The amphitheater, circular sunken plaza features 32 meters diameter, tiered seating arrangement, excellent acoustics for gatherings connected to Pyramide del Anfiteatro, capacity for hundreds of people, used for ceremonies and public events. The residential architecture, elite residences show multi-room complexes, interior courtyard, storage areas, kitchen spaces with hearths, adobe brick construction, plaster floors and walls, common housing. Simpler structures, less permanent materials. Read mat construction, communal living areas, the public spaces, multiple plazas served civic functions. Circular sunken plazas, multiple rectangular open areas connected by stairways and passages designed for public gatherings, evidence of ceremonial activities. The waterworks, hydraulic engineering included irrigation canals from Soup River, water distribution systems, drainage for city, agricultural terraces. Shows advanced hydrological knowledge. The scale of labor building Caral required thousands of workers, organized labor system, resource management, food production for workers, social hierarchy, coordinating efforts, multi-generational construction projects. No evidence of warfare. Remarkably, Caral shows no defensive walls, no weapons in archaeological record, no artistic depictions of warfare, no evidence of violent destruction. Peaceful society, focused on trade and ceremony. The architectural legacy Caral established patterns seen later. Platform pyramid design, sunken circular plazas, urban planning principles, public ceremony spaces influenced later Andean civilizations. Caral wasn't just impressive architecture. It was a complex society with trade networks, specialized labor, and cultural innovations that rivaled old world civilizations. The economic foundation, Caral's prosperity based on marine resources. Anchovies and sardines from Pacific coast, shellfish and other seafood 23 km from ocean, half-day travel. Established trade with coastal fishing communities, agricultural production. Cotton cultivation for nets, textiles, squash and beans, akira and sweet potato fruit including guava and pacey, irrigated. Agriculture from Soup River. The trade network Caral connected to coastal fishing villages, marine resources, highland communities, llama meat, wool, tropical lowlands, tropical fruits, hardwoods, trade routes spanning 300+ km, exchange system without markets or currency. The cotton for fish economy, unique economic system. The arrangement. Caral produced cotton, coastal communities needed nets, cotton, exchanged for marine protein, mutual dependency created stability, no warfare. Trade more valuable. This shows sophisticated economic planning, specialization and interdependence. Trade as civilization foundation, alternative to conquest-based economies. Social complexity, evidence shows hierarchical society. Elite class lived in upper sector, larger, better built houses, access to exotic goods, controlled religious/civic ceremonies, coordinated construction projects, specialized workers, architects and engineers, textile producers, fishers and farmers, artisans, religious specialists, common population. Laborers on construction projects, agricultural workers, lower quality housing, limited access to luxury goods, cultural achievements, musical instruments. 32 flutes made from pelican and condor bones decorated with carved designs show musical tradition, possible ceremonial use. Among oldest known instruments in America's textiles. Cotton weaving, well-developed decorative patterns, dyed fabrics, nets for fishing, clothing production, quipus. Possibly knotted cord devices found might be early record-keeping precursor to later Inca quipu system. Shows need for administrative records, dating debated by scholars. Religious life, evidence of ritual activities. Sacred fires. Ceremonial hearths in pyramids, offerings burned, possibly continuous sacred flame central to religious practice, ritual offerings. Textiles, food items, musical instruments, animal remains placed in ceremonial contexts, astronomical alignments. Buildings oriented to celestial events, possible solar observations, integration of astronomy and religion similar to other ancient civilizations. No pottery. Remarkably, Caral had No ceramics or pottery used gourds as containers. Baskets for storage shows complexity. Doesn't require all technologies. Pottery came later in Andean development. No writing, that we know of, unlike Mesopotamia or Egypt. No clear writing system discovered. Possible quipu predecessors. Record-keeping methods. Unknown. Oral traditions likely important but complex. Society still achieved. The population estimates suggest 3,000 plus people in Caral proper, up to 20,000 in Soup Valley, overall 30 plus. Related sites in Norte Chico region. Caral as regional center. Population density requiring food surplus. Comparison to Old World at the same time. Egyptian Old Kingdom. Similar pyramid building, hieroglyphics, pottery. Mesopotamian cities. Writing, pottery, wheeled vehicles. Caral. No writing, no pottery, no wheels yet achieved. Comparable urban complexity shows multiple pathways to civilization. Caral developed urban civilization without pottery, writing, or wheels, technologies we thought were essential. What does this tell us about the nature of civilization? Share your thoughts in the comments. After flourishing for nearly 1,000 years, Caral was suddenly abandoned around 1800 BCE. The pyramids were left empty, the city deserted. What happened? The timeline of decline. Caral's final centuries. Peak prosperity, 2600 to 2000 BC. Gradual decline, 2000 to 1800 BC. Final abandonment. c. 1800 BC. Never reoccupied. Other Norte Chico sites also abandoned. No signs of warfare. Importantly, evidence shows no destruction. Layers. No burned buildings, no mass graves, no weapons caches. Peaceful abandonment, not conquest. The climate change theory. Most compelling explanation involves environmental shifts. Geological evidence. Major El Niño event around 1800 BCE. Severe flooding destroyed infrastructure followed by extended drought period. Soup River flow dramatically reduced. Agricultural system collapsed. The Cascade. Irrigation systems damaged by floods. Drought prevented recovery. Crop failures. Food scarcity. Population dispersed. The earthquake factor. Peru is highly seismic. Major earthquake around 1800 BCE could have damaged structures. Irrigation systems disrupted. Religious interpretation. God's angry. Combined with climate problems, the social disruption. Environmental crisis led to breakdown of trade networks. Coastal fishing communities affected. Highland trading partners. Disconnected economic system. Collapsed. Elite authority undermined. The migration. Population likely migrated to areas with reliable water. Dispersed to multiple locations. Returned to smaller scale living. Cultural knowledge preserved but transformed. Foundation for later Andean civilizations. Why no return? Caral was never reoccupied because climate patterns had changed. River regime, different agricultural potential, reduced sacred sites, possibly considered cursed. Population adapted to new locations. Similar patterns. Other ancient cities abandoned due to environmental causes. Akkadian Empire, Mesopotamia, drought. Indus Valley cities, river changes. Maya cities, drought and environmental degradation shows vulnerability of early urban centers. The archaeological evidence. Excavations reveal orderly abandonment, not panicked flight. Some valuables left behind. Structures intact, gradual not sudden. No evidence of looting or destruction. Population departed over time. What was lost with Caral's abandonment? Urban planning knowledge. Interrupted monumental construction tradition. Paused trade networks. Dissolved cultural practices. Dispersed 1,000 years of accumulated wisdom. Scattered but not forever. Later Andean civilizations. Chavin, 900 BCE. Revived urban life built on Caral's foundation platform. Pyramids, continued. Sunken plazas, reappeared. Caral's legacy survived in cultural memory. The lesson Caral's collapse demonstrates. Environmental factors can destroy civilizations. Climate change is civilization threatening. Even successful societies are vulnerable. Location-dependent prosperity is risky. Adaptation is essential for survival. Ancient lesson relevant today. For 5,000 years, Caral's pyramids stood silent in the desert. How did archaeologists finally recognize their significance? The hidden giant Caral remained unknown because desert sand and dust-buried structures looked like natural hills from distance. No tourist interest, no gold, no ceramics. Remote location away from major routes. Local residents unaware of significance. Early visitors before full recognition. 1905. German archaeologist Max Euhl noted site didn't recognize full significance. Assumed much more recent. Focused on ceramic-producing cultures. Caral largely ignored. Ruth Shady's investigation. 1994. The breakthrough. Dr. Ruth Shady Solis Peruvian archaeologists studied Norte Chico region, systematically recognized monumental architecture-initiated excavations at Caral overcame skepticism from international community. The dating process establishing Caral's age. Carbon-14 dating of reed remains, shikra bags. Multiple samples tested dates clustered around 2600 BCE. Repeated testing confirmed results. Revolutionary implications recognized initial skepticism. Archaeological community doubted. Dates seemed impossibly early. Contradicted. Existing timeline required rewriting. American prehistory demanded extraordinary evidence, but evidence was overwhelming. Multiple independent carbon dates. Stratigraphic consistency. No later intrusion. Scientific consensus eventually accepted findings. The excavation challenges. Working at Caral presents difficulties. Desert environment funding limitations. Preservation issues. Looting threats. Balancing research and conservation. Major discoveries. Excavations revealed. 2001-2005. Musical instruments, bone flutes, textiles and cordage. Quipu-like knotted cord. Ceremonial hearths. Residential architecture. 2005-2010. Complete city layout mapped. Additional pyramids. Identified evidence of trade networks. Agricultural systems documented. 2010-present. Ongoing excavations in residential areas. Conservation of exposed structures. Public education initiatives. Tourism infrastructure development. UNESCO recognition. 2009. Caral Soup designated UNESCO World Heritage Site. Recognized as oldest center of civilization in Americas. Protected status for preservation. International importance acknowledged. The broader Norte Chico. Caral is part of larger civilization. 30+ sites identified in region. Dates ranging 3000 to 1800 BCE. Caral as regional center. Contemporary city network. Collective achievement of Norte Chico culture. Modern technology. Recent research employs LiDAR scanning revealing hidden structures. Ground penetrating radar. Satellite imagery analysis. 3D modeling of architecture. DNA analysis of organic remains. Ongoing research. Current investigations focus on daily life of inhabitants. Economic systems. Details religious practices. Relationship between sites. Causes of abandonment. Influence on later cultures. Ruth Shady's legacy. Her work revolutionized understanding of American prehistory. Established Caral's global significance. Inspired new research across Americas. Demonstrated independent civilization development. Challenged Eurocentric archaeology. The site today. Caral now features on-site museum guided tours available. Ongoing excavations. Visible educational programs. Growing archaeological tourism. Preservation efforts. The impact on scholarship. Caral's discovery forced rewriting textbooks. Reconsidering civilization origins. Recognizing American achievements. Questioning old world primacy. Acknowledging multiple centers of innovation. Caral isn't just important for American history. It fundamentally changes how we understand the development of human civilization worldwide. The independent invention question. Caral proves civilization arose independently at least 5 to 6 times. Mesopotamia, Sumer, 3500 BCE. Egypt, Nile Valley, 3100 BCE. Indus Valley, Pakistan/India, 2600 BCE. China, Yellow River, 2000 BCE. Mesoamerica, Olmec, 1500 BCE. Caral, Peru, 2600 BCE. This shows urban civilization is not unique. Multiple pathways to complexity. Universal human capacity for innovation. Environment shapes, but doesn't determine development. Challenging, necessary, prerequisites. Traditional theories claim civilization required white heavy checkmark agriculture. Caral had this white heavy checkmark surplus food production. Caral had this crossmark pottery. Caral had none crossmark writing. Caral had none, probably, crossmark metal tools. Caral had none crossmark draft animals. Caral had none crossmark wheels. Caral had and yet Caral achieved monumental architecture. Urban planning complex, social hierarchy. Trade networks, specialized labor. Religious institutions. The definition of civilization. Caral forces us to reconsider what civilization means. Traditional definition emphasized. Writing systems, metallurgy. Wheeled vehicles. Pottery production. Caral suggests better definition. Urban settlement. Monumental public architecture. Social stratification. Specialized labor. Long distance trade. Complex political organization. The maritime foundation theory. Caral challenges agricultural primacy. Traditional view. Agriculture leads to surplus. Surplus enables cities. Farming is civilization. Foundation. Caral's reality. Marine resources. Fish provided protein. Cotton, not food crop. Was key agricultural product trade between coast and valley maritime resources equally important to farming alternative pathway to urban complexity? The peaceful civilization model Caral demonstrates. Cities don't require warfare. Trade can be more effective than conquest. Monumental architecture for cooperation, not defense. Religious/ceremonial focus instead of military challenges. Assumption that civilization equals warfare. The timeline revolution before Caral. American civilizations considered younger Old World seen as more advanced. America's lagging by millennia after Caral. America's contemporary with Old World cities. Independent achievements parallel. No parent civilization needed equal partners in human cultural evolution. The influence on later cultures. Caral established Andean patterns. Platform pyramids, sunken circular plazas. Textile importance. Trade-based economics continued through Chavin, Moche, Chimu, Inca. Why Americans should care? Caral matters because demonstrates American achievements equal to Old World. Shows indigenous innovation and genius. Counters narratives of American backwardness, pride in pre-Columbian accomplishments. 5,000-year depth to American civilization. Why everyone should care. Global significance. Universal human capabilities demonstrated multiple solutions to social organization. Environment shapes but doesn't determine culture. Civilization is achievable through various pathways. Challenges. Eurocentric historical narratives. The lessons for today. Caral teaches cooperation and trade build civilizations. Environmental adaptation is crucial. Cultural achievements don't require all technologies. Peaceful societies can thrive, but environmental collapse can destroy even successful civilizations. Caral achieved urban civilization without pottery, writing, or metal, yet we barely hear about it in school. Why do you think American civilizations are overlooked in world history? Share your thoughts in the comments. 5,000 years ago, while Egyptians built pyramids and Sumerians invented writing, another people on a different continent were building their own pyramids and creating their own form of urban civilization. Then they vanished and the world forgot them for 5,000 years. What we've learned. Caral demonstrates about civilization arose independently multiple times. No single pathway to complexity. Different technologies, same outcomes. Human innovation is universal. About the Americas. Urban life began 5,000 years ago. American civilizations as Old World. Indigenous achievements parallel global developments. Deep history of sophisticated societies. About environment. Climate shapes civilization. Possibilities. Environmental change can destroy cities. Adaptation is essential for survival. Even successful societies are vulnerable. The forgotten people. We don't know what they called themselves, what language they spoke, their myths and legends. Individual rulers' names, their worldview and philosophy, but we know they built lasting monuments, created sophisticated society, developed trade networks, achieved urban complexity, laid foundation for Andean civilization. The enduring mystery questions remain. Exact nature of social organization, religious beliefs and practices, reason for no pottery or writing, daily life details, ultimate fate of population, connection to later cultures. The archaeological future. Only 1% of Caral has been excavated. Vast amounts remain underground. New discoveries, constantly emerging technology reveals hidden structures. Understanding continuously evolving. Decades of research ahead. The modern relevance. Caral's lessons resonate today. Climate change threatens civilizations. Cooperation beats conflict. Trade builds prosperity. Cultural achievement transcends technology. Environmental sustainability is crucial. The reclaimed heritage for Peru. National pride in ancient achievement. Tourist destination. Growing educational importance. Cultural identity. Connection. International recognition. The global impact. Caral changed how we understand civilization. Origins. Appreciation for American achievements. Recognition of human universal capacities. Respect for indigenous innovations. Historical narratives becoming more inclusive. The ultimate irony. Caral builders sought eternal monuments. Lasting achievement. Connection to God's prosperity and stability. They succeeded, but not as intended. City abandoned after 1,000 years. Forgotten for 5,000 years. No direct descendants remember them, but their pyramids still stand. Their achievement now recognized worldwide. They are remembered, just not in expected way. The final thought. Caral reminds us human achievement is universal. Civilizations rise and fall. Environmental forces are powerful. Cultural memory can be lost, but archaeological evidence endures. 5,000 years from now, what will survive of our civilization? Will anyone remember our names? Will our monuments still stand? What will archaeologists conclude? Caral suggests monuments outlast memory, but achievements can be eternal. If discovering that the Americas had 5,000-year-old pyramids and cities has changed your understanding of world history, Smash that like button and subscribe for more investigations into forgotten civilizations that challenge everything we thought we knew. And here's my question for you. Why do you think Caral and other American civilizations are barely mentioned in world history courses when they're as old and sophisticated as Egyptian and Mesopotamian cities? Is it Eurocentric bias or something else? Share your honest thoughts in the comments. This is a conversation we need to have. Hit that notification bell. Until then, remember, Caral's pyramids stood for 5,000 years before being rediscovered. What other lost civilizations are still buried, waiting to rewrite history?